Join us on the 8th Pan-African Pyramid Global Awards 2025 and 11th Anniversary Bonfire Dinner, recognizing and awarding Pan-Africans who selflessly fought and defended the rights and freedoms of the black race globally on 30th August 2025 at Fair Hotel from 2 p.m. Dress code, strictly pub t-shirts or traditional stroke African wear. Theme, One Africa, One Passport. United States of Africa, USA. Book your dinner card now. Table for 8, 3 million. Platinum, 1 million. Gold, 500K. Silver, 400K. Bronze, 150K. Call 0757 342317 or 0782 342317 to book your dinner card online now. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. I am because we are. Come, let's rekindle our roots. Africa, don't agonize, organize. Powered by Fairway Hotel, NBS TV, Afro Mobile, Lupa Radio Foundation, JJK, The Spy Uganda, Detective UG.
I only urge African leaders to remember how some African countries were and the glorious days of those African countries. Because we have had several African countries that defeated Western countries. Ethiopia during the Battle of Adowa, Menelik defeated the Italians.
That's true.
Then when you go to Mukta in Libya, who was called the Lion of the Desert,
yes,
he defeated defeated the Italians. Not until when he was killed, when he was called that you come so that we negotiate about ending the way they killed him, like the way they did to Gaddafi. Boxer Bay. They were also once under colonial masters, the Chinese. But they revolted against the colonial masters, the British, after realizing how those people had corrupted their minds through the use of cocaine. Hey, they used cocaine. They failed to convince the Chinese to buy their products because it was around the 12,000, maybe 60. Around. One sailor from Europe took his commodities to China. By then it was ruled under Emperor Genghis of the Mongol Empire. Then Genghis just said that your products are substandard to the Chinese products. So they failed to convince them to trade with the British and the other European countries. So what they did, they took cocaine to the Chinese. They told them how to use cocaine. They were addicted, so they forced them to trade with the British through cocaine. Under the influence of cocaine. After addiction. So they realized that these people are spoiling us. That's why they staged the Boxer Bay to chase out the foreigners. After chasing China, they decided, let us take our own path, not the European.
The Pan-African Pyramid Weekly Roundup with your speaker Andrew Rumba Katusawe here at Satellite Hotel in Kisasi. As usual, our panel is full. No, it's missing by one. Comrade Lisafri Thomas is in Joburg. He first went to Cape Town. Now he's in Joburg. He's on a Pan-African mission that we sent him to do some work for us, and he keeps updating us on the same. Comrade Karuchiko Daniel Rugarama, our elder, the chairman Pan-African Movement, the Uganda chapter. Welcome, sir.
Thank you so much, our speaker, Comrade Rumba, and good morning to our esteemed viewers and my colleagues here, Prof. and my young brother Kasozi.
Next is Comrade Kasozi, the philosopher. He is a researcher. Is a philosopher, working encyclopedia. Samuel Kasozi. Yes. Say hi to our viewers.
Yes, good morning, good evening.
Depending on where you are.
Right, yes, depending on the time zones. That's how funny our world is. Yeah, but I'm Kasozi, I'm a philosopher. It's a very great pleasure to be here and to be in between great people.
You're in between the two layers.
Yes.
So you're safe.
It's a very great opportunity. You know, they say that give me the pain and you conquer the world. So through the pain,
they have conquered
the world. Professor, then an intellectual who has traveled over the world. So it's a very great pleasure.
You're in between.
Yeah.
So you're conquered.
I've conquered at least.
And finally, our eldest comrade here, our senior comrade Professor Alenyo George William. Alenyo George William is a civil rights lawyer. He's a Pan-African, actually is an award, is a recipient of the Pan-African Award of the class of 2023. If I'm not mistaken, 2023 is when he received the Pan-African Award. He's an author, he's a writer. And one of his books is A Deal in the Desert. That meeting between Tony Blair, that's what he says, but he calls him Tony Blood, and Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. I enjoyed that book.
Yes.
Have you read the Tony Blood?
Not yet.
It's his book, we need to read it. You called him Tony Blood.
I have looked at it, I haven't finished it. But, I hope to finish it in the next 2 weeks.
So, Elder, you can say to our viewers.
Yes, our viewers, I think good afternoon, because basically it will be aired in the afternoon. Thank you.
Okay, apart from the topic that you already know, Comrade, is there something that took your attention in a Pan-African context around the world or in Africa?
Yes.
If it is, let's have it in 1 minute or two.
I have continued to get the revelation that how hypocritical the Western world is. Because not long ago, the head of the European Union was in the Oval Office to meet with President Trump over the trade war tariffs. And you get the sense that probably an imperialist has got no permanent friends. Because if we have got America now opening a war on trade with Europe, and those two are actually consummate liars, and at the same time grand thieves who should be conspiring to enhance their stealing tactics. Yes, I say so, because history has shown, and I have got evidence that the two from time immemorial have been thieves and they have not stopped stealing. Because myself and Professor are lawyers. We know the ingredients of an offense called theft. That you have taken somebody's thing which is capable of being stolen without his authorization, and you do not have the intention of bringing it back.
Returning it.
Now, these
You have taken it perpetually.
These two, be it United States of America and Europe, are seen back in history and even currently taking away without the authorization from the owner of that very thing they have taken, and the intention is not to bring it back. What does that make them? I thank you.
Thieves. Next,
Professor Alenyo.
Yes, I think that in the week we are all following the communique of His Excellency the President of Uganda, who happens to have chaired an African Union Peace and Security Committee and authored a letter requesting that those meddling with affairs of Libya leave. And I'm happy to be part of the panel that is going to discuss that today. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Comrade Philosopher, anything that caught your attention in a Pan-African context?
Yes.
Yes.
Particularly it's about the hunger that Israel has induced to the Palestinian.
The hunger,
yes. It was on Friday. One of the boat, a big boat from Europe, under what was called the United Flotilla Agents. So just an agent aiming at collecting aid to the Gazan. The boat was captured by Israel Defense Force. It was taken by force. 12 crew members were imprisoned, including 2 parliamentarians from France. So all the food that was there was taken by Israel. Yet a number of people, very many of them, are dying in gas. You find someone who could only see bones and the skin, but they have all gone. The world is silent about such a kind of atrocities. So I'm remembering what they used to say, that most of the hunger we experience in Africa is not natural hunger, but a political hunger.
Induced
hunger. Yes. Hunger in Somalia, hunger in Sudan, hunger everywhere. So I'm wondering how we could continue praising those countries as civilized when they can do such a barbaric action to their own. So just to try, the way you has talked about the hypocrisy of those whites. You see now the delegations are going to USA what to discuss about Palestinian. France tried to recognize Palestine as a state, then Trump threatened France. So you can see the double standard of those countries. So it's high time we find out how to isolate, to be self-reliant from those people, and to pursue our own policies.
Comrade Rugarama, let's even first, because I know you have a lot of anger when it comes to that issue.
I was going to ask for permission to add my voice.
Because I know it can't go without you.
I'm telling you.
This world hypocrisy. America and Israel are starving people, innocent people. Israel and America are starving innocent people in Palestine, in Gaza. And the rest of the world, quiet. If that was being done by Russia, or North Korea or China, you do see. These people, the children, the women who are suffering, are not part of your war. Why? Can you imagine someone brings food and you capture the food and you let the people die? But the rest of the world is keeping quiet. But if another country did it,
Comrade Speaker, I should go on record that what the Zionist state of Israel is doing currently in Palestine is not new. Previously, there were caravans because they were doing what is happening: starvation, denial of essential medicines, cutting off power because they went an extra mile now. We are no longer talking about power, we are no longer talking about medicines, because they have decimated the hospitals, they have bombed children, women, men, cows, dogs, everything in Palestine. The intention is to ensure that they capture the entire and bring under direct control of the Zionist state the entire Gaza Strip, such that the Jewish state of Israel touches the water. They want to make sure that the water strip, is part and parcel of the state of Israel.
Gaza Strip.
And then they move to ensure that the West Bank is also brought under the fold of the state of Israel. We cannot put this one on the state of Israel, because I have said before, and I repeat it, that the Zionist state of Israel is an appendage. It is an extension of the White House. It is a satellite state to monitor and geostrategically balance power in the Middle East. And that is why, as part of the concession, and you will see how it is going to play out, when Syria was falling, is because Russia had struck a deal with the United States of America that let this be. And for us, we are not going to be so hard on you as far as Ukraine is concerned. Now, people that are not talking about this, that for us, we are going to be soft on Ukraine. You win your thing in Ukraine. Let Syria go.
Yes, that was the deal.
You see?
Yes.
By now, even the end of the war in Iran was not that Israel was so powerful, they had overestimated their ability.
Underestimated.
No, it was they had overestimated their ability as far as Iran is concerned. The Jewish state of Israel had overestimated themselves.
They thought they were too big.
When they checked them, they found that actually their own military installations were not safe from the military and the firepower of Iran. Because Iran is also not alone.
Let me put it more clear. They had underestimated Iran's
ability to respond and overestimated themselves because they thought it was still as business as usual when they would overrun the entire Middle East.
As it
but
was
as
in the 1980s.
Absolutely, all those wars that they have had in succession, they have been the all-powerful.
What happened in 1980s?
1980s.
Oh, you are forgetting all those wars.
During the Iraq-Iran war, America was the one sponsoring such what? Divisions and wars. During the Yom Kippur War, 1970, Yom Kippur War, 1973. So Israel against Arab countries. Israel was emerging as a superpower, conquering what?
The 6 days war.
6 days war. But this time, they realized that they cannot maintain that supremacy all the time.
And because we don't want to make it a topic for today, I want to summarize by saying that the starvation, by the way, killing people by starvation is an international war crime. And as we talk now, we very well know that Netanyahu is an international, has got a warrant of arrest. He is indicted by the International Criminal Court. Forget about what is happening with Putin and what have you. The real criminals are known. I'm glad that the prosecutor had the courage. He's an American and he has been threatened that should he go back to America with his family, including, you can imagine the hypocrisy that we are talking about. The judges at the International Criminal Court have been sanctioned by United States of America, the Trump regime. They have said, for this indicting our very own and friend Netanyahu, you are not welcome to United States of America. And they claim to be the epitome of democracy. Can you imagine that?
For me, what has caught my attention, I think the other week, was the fact that America can even try to imagine that when he gets tired of you in America, you are a rapist, you are a gangster, you are a thief, you are what? There is a certain country in Africa that he is supposed to dump those people. America gets the people he trained in all these atrocities. Now it gets fed up of them, and they say, please, Eswatini, can we bring you these people with money? So you think Africa is interested in money only, not other issues? Money. You know, you give us your price, how much you can keep this madman. Each one of them, how much? And the rest of Africa is quiet. The rest of Africa is quiet. They think this is a Swatini issue. No. This is an African issue.
Bwana Speaker, I want to mention one thing which we must understand. What the Western capitalistic nations have done, and they have not just started it, which is systematic and is deliberate, is to deny the rest of the world, especially the black race, one thing called identity. When you no longer and can no longer think for yourself,
self-determination,
determine for yourself, somebody else has got to do it, including, you see, even that you are talking about, that all they think about is giving you money. They do not necessarily, even if you refused that money, by the way, there is a price. Why you have refused. Either they will frustrate you, and that is what BRICS is fighting. Either they will frustrate you economically, and that is their blueprint. They have been frustrating the majority of African countries and other economies elsewhere, economically, from the macro policy level, engineered and done through IMF and World Bank. Now that that is being overcome through the creation and the operationalization of the BRICS, they will come in through the jackals. Tell me any coup that has happened on the African continent and the rest of the continents, I will show you a hand of the
American
CIA,
Yeah.
M16, Mossad,
KGB.
to mention but a few. But most importantly,
don't leave KGB in the to mention but a few.
yes,
Please bring it on.
they can also be there. But most importantly, if you think that I am lying, then I will refer you to a book by the former chief of CIA, Parkinson. The hits of the economic, the economic hitman. When you read it, by the time you finish it, you will know how continuously Africa and the rest of the world that have got not means yet are continuously being raped by United States of America and her cousins.
Okay. Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni, in his capacity as the chairperson of the African Union AU Peace and Security Council PSC for the month of July, chaired a high-level virtual meeting on the current situation in Libya. While a formal communique was issued by the AU Secretariat, Museveni made 7 pointed remarks that captured the urgency, frustration, and historical depth of Africa's position on Libya's prolonged instability. He made point number 1, appreciation for African leadership. President Museveni began by commending His Excellency President Denis Sassou Nguesso, the chairman of the AU High-Level Committee on Libya, for his steadfast leadership in seeking African-led solutions to the Libyan crisis. In other words, African problems, African solutions. Number 2 that President made, ceasefire must hold. Fighting will not bring solutions. That is Museveni saying, demanding that the ceasefire be maintained at all costs. Point number 3, no foreign meddling. Museveni issued a stern warning against foreign interference, emphasizing that external powers should not dictate Libya's future. Point number 4, foreign fighters must leave. He retaliated the long-standing AU demand for all foreign fighters and machineries to exit Libya as a precondition for any meaningful reconciliation. Point number 5, inclusive dialogue. Museveni called for all Libyans to participate in dialogue under the facilitation of President Denis Sassou Nguesso and the wider AU framework. Point number 6, free and fair elections. The only legitimate solution is through free and fair elections, where all Libyans participate. Museveni said, noting that this path has brought peace in other post-conflict African countries. And point number 7, a continental shame. In his most striking remark, Museveni said, it is a shame that Africa has allowed this criminal activity to go on. We ought to get together and do something about Libya. President Museveni directly addressed the role of foreign powers, particularly Western nations led by the United States, in destabilizing Libya. They killed Gaddafi, and now they are stealing Libya's oil. These same powers can't be part of the solution. They are benefiting from the chaos, Museveni said. Museveni's remarks resurrect the long-standing critique of NATO's 2011 military intervention in Libya, which led to the brutal assassination of Libyan leader Colonel Muammar Gaddafi, plunging the once stable North African country into a decade-long civil war, factionalism, and foreign exploitation. Gaddafi and Museveni had a historical relationship stretching back to Uganda's liberation struggle in the early 80s. Gaddafi is known to have provided financial and logistical support to Museveni during his guerrilla war against the Milton Obote regime. Beyond personal ties, Gaddafi represented a Pan-African vision that challenged Western hegemony. He sought to, number one, create a United States of Africa with one president and one army. Number two, Gaddafi wanted to establish a single African currency backed by gold, not dollar, independent of the US dollar and euro. Gaddafi wanted to abolish visa requirements and borders between African nations, promoting free movement and unity. These ambitions were seen as a direct threat to Western geopolitical and economic interests, especially in maintaining control over African resources and preventing a consolidated independent continent. Since the fall of Gaddafi, Libya has become a battleground for proxy wars, hosting rival governments, militias, and machineries, many funded and armed by foreign powers with vested oil interests. It is vast petroleum reserves are now at the mercy of multinational companies and warlords, while ordinary Libyans suffer under insecurity and economic collapse. The AU under Museveni's leadership this month is calling for African solutions to African problems, a return to sovereignty, dialogue, and unity on the Libyan issue. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the communique from the President of the Republic of Uganda, a once very close ally and friend to the fallen brother Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. I hope all of you have heard and understood these introductory remarks. I will begin with the Comrade Dan Rugarama Karuchiko. I want to hear your statement about Museveni's statement.
It is very disheartening.
Why?
That a country like Libya, which even the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund economists, including the Economic Global Advisor to different countries, Professor Jeffrey Sachs, had rated as a country that was probably even much more beautiful than a majority of the hyped Western Europe countries to live in. Its employment rate, there was almost zero unemployment in the entire Libya before the fall of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi. It was the biggest single contributor to the activities of African Union, Organization of African Union, if you like, later on African Union, as a single country. It is the country that managed to turn a desert into a green, flourishing, vast, large country on the African continent, whose mission was to replace the exportation and reliance of oil and oil products to agriculture. It is a country where the currency, the Libyan dinar, something like that, had against the dollar, was gaining against the dollar every other year that would pass. This very country had its own unique way of democracy. It is comical for the Western Europe to imagine that whoever does not govern according to the tenets of the so-called global democracy or Western democracy is a dictator. They have said the same of Cuba. They have said the same of Venezuela. They have said the same, to make matters worse, of the mighty People's Republic of China. It has not stopped China from economically growing to greater bounds every other year. Therefore, to imagine that there was a conspiracy in Paris, because there was such a meeting in Paris called Friends of Libya, before the destruction of Libya as it is now. All these hypocrites would meet in Paris, and the so-called NATO countries finally conspired after a series of meetings, and they bombed to rubble the entire Libya, and indeed, like the President of the Republic of Uganda has pointed out, there assassinated or murdered in cold blood El Commandant Kano
Fidel Castro.
Kano Gaddafi.
Kano Gaddafi.
After murdering him and putting the country in ruins, the same so-called friends of Libya have not met anywhere, not in Paris where they used to meet, to look at the current state of affairs in Libya. Libya is a beehive of all manner of factionaries. They have trained and tamed people who talk without using their heads, and they claim to be the real representatives of the Libyan people. They have brought that country to its knees, that even during the war itself, we don't know why, and the President of Uganda has lamented time and again that he reached out to people like Jacob Zuma and other comrades, such that they could put up a stiff resistance to wag away the imperialists. And Jacob Zuma coiled his tail between his legs, and that is how the resistance failed. It is very unfortunate.
No, at one time they were in a plane. All the African.
They were about to take off. They had taken off, I think they were mid-air.
Yes.
And then they were commanded to turn back because their security could not be guaranteed.
In Africa.
That is why when the African
foil to guarantee their security.
That tells you, therefore, the hypocrisy and and who we are in terms of protecting our own lives. If NATO, which has got nothing to do with Africa, could tell all the members of African Union,
Trinity Organization,
the African Union, whose member Gaddafi was in problems, and we wanted to solve the problems of our brother, which problems had been bestowed upon our brother by not the so-called civil uprising in Libya, but by the hatched plan of the NATO members wanting to destabilize Libya and forestall the good intentions Muammar Gaddafi had for African countries, including the single currency you are talking about. He was resurrecting what Kwame Nkrumah with his brothers in 1963 in Addis Ababa. Single currency, which you talked about, one army, which you talked about, one government, which you talked about, one passport, all those have been talked about in the 1963 Congress, where we had the formation and crystallization of the Organization of African Unity. It is unfortunate that the person who therefore saw through and had the means to help out, where he had even proposed, because as we talk now, the African Development Bank is well over 70% funded by foreigners. Do you think, therefore, that if Japan, United States of America, France, and other Western capitals are putting 70% in African Development Bank, they are going to put that money with the conditions there being dictated by those foreigners to make Africa borrow money from there and disengage themselves from the strong grip hand of the people who are putting money there? It is very unlikely, because what Muammar Gaddafi had wanted to do was that African Union, through him, he would influence the greater capitalization of African Development Bank, put their money which would be borrowed at subsidized rates. Not what we are doing now, borrowing from the World Bank, IMF policies, whose money we know for a fact are not meant to develop Africa. He had to be destabilized, and anybody on that trajectory in the footsteps of Colonel Muammar Gaddafi on the African continent and elsewhere, who does not tow unless you have got the military ability to match the Americans who are going and are able to unleash all the cabals on you. You cannot, and I will repeat, you will find it extremely hard that you are at the risk of elimination, either violently, directly, or through destabilization, economical and other means, if and when you start attempting to emancipate your people from the great grip hold of the imperialists.
Thank you very much, Comrade Dan Ugalama Karuchiko. I will come to Professor Alenyo George William. What did you make of this President Museveni's remarks and statement?
My take on that, first and foremost, there is something in that letter which was not completed.
Which one is that?
This is it. The president said.
You want to amend the President Museveni's letter?
Which was not completed, not amending, adding to. Because he said, the same people who killed Gaddafi are the same people
who want to pretend
they
have solutions for
that
Libya.
they have solutions for Libya. And the same people are the ones for whom he's fighting in Somalia. Does it make sense?
Yes.
The same imperialists who fought Gaddafi and killed Gaddafi are the same imperialists whose agenda we are pursuing
In Somalia.
in Somalia. Whose war is it? Whose war is it in Somalia?
President Museveni is disagreeing with the international meddling in Libyan issues.
Yes.
But President Museveni
It's not
is
addressed.
well alive,
Yes.
actively participating in the interests of the same people in Somalia.
Yes. Intermeddling in the affairs of Somalia for American
He's not
issues.
chasing them.
He's not. Because you see, what is the problem in Somalia? The word Al-Shabaab, what does it mean?
I don't know.
It means youth.
Hey, youth.
Al-Shabaab means youth. They are freedom fighters for their freedom in their country. Who has told you that they are terrorists?
Al-Shabaab.
Yes, who has told you that they are terrorists? They are fighting for their freedom within their country.
That's like M23 is fighting for their freedom in DRC. Is that
And they are being called terrorists. And like
Museveni is calling Al-Shabaab,
yes,
which is translated as youth
yes,
of Somalia, who are fighting for
their freedom.
their rights.
yes,
They want to enforce their rights.
yes.
Museveni has
Against America, you remember they shot down American helicopters.
yes.
They really put down America. You remember?
So Museveni and America have termed them rebels,
Terrorists.
terrorists. Sorry.
Yes.
And Museveni is helping America to fight
To
them.
fight Al-Shabaab. Isn't that
But
intermediate?
the same Museveni is not helping DRC to fight M23.
Yes. Calling them also terrorists.
He's not calling M23 terrorists.
What is he calling them?
Museveni and Muhoozi, his son, they actually helping.
The son has been categorically clear. And he has said those are not terrorists.
Yes.
Those are our brothers.
That's the point I was
And
making.
so, yes. So for
In Somalia, Al-Shabaab are terrorists.
yes, by American definition,
In the DRC, yes. In the DRC, M23
are terrorists. By American definition. You see? So let us be careful when we are addressing issues as African elders.
So you see
Because we must be
be.
truthful.
You are seeing double standards in Muslim.
Yes. We must be truthful. We must be truthful.
Professor.
We must be truthful. Yes. You see, if we are to reject America from Africa, we must reject America totally. Not to reject America daytime and nighttime. We have a deal with America. We have to reject America totally.
During the day,
During the day
the night.
and during the night. But if you reject America in a letter, but then in action you are found to be an American ally and agent on the African continent.
Museveni is an American ally.
I have said if you reject America daytime and then night time, you are found to be having deals with America, and America even trusts you then we have a problem. I've not said it's Museveni, but I've told you, I've said all African leaders, including Sassou Nguesso. Hey, who is the chairman of the Libyan problem? Sassou Nguesso.
He's not the chairman of the...
He's the envoy.
Okay, yeah, sure.
It's Sassou Nguesso. How is Sassou Nguesso doing with America?
High-level committee chairman.
You see, he's the high-level committee chairman.
On Libyan affairs.
On Libyan affairs. Have you checked the relationship between Sassou Nguesso and America? Check.
Tell me, Professor.
It's very good. It's very good.
That's why he has been in power for so long. Because dancing on the tunes of the Americans.
What did Thomas Sankara say, Professor?
Yes.
That if you see your enemies, our former colonials, praising me, how should you take me?
Exactly.
You should not have betrayed you.
I have betrayed you. And I have issues with President Museveni, and I want this one to be recorded.
Number one, it is on record.
My issue number one with President Museveni. I've always told you, even when we were recording from Fairway Hotel.
Fairway.
As long as I don't see Museveni joining African countries into one, then really, I don't know why Uganda is still an independent country. It's not joining with Rwanda. It's not joining with Burundi. It's not joining with South Sudan.
They're under EAC. They're one.
No. Even Museveni says the East African Federation has not come.
Yeah, Professor is talking about direct political confederation.
Yes.
He's not talking about the economic integration, the process through which His Excellency the President Yoweri Museveni believes in to bring the total political cooperation.
Exactly. You know where we are losing the war, right, honorable Speaker, as Africans? America is a continent. It's a country, but it's a continent. It's North America. It's a whole continent. Russia is a continent. If you look at the size of Russia, look at the size of America. It's a continent. Europe, they have one policy. It's a continent. But Africa, we are divided. You see, look at a country like Rwanda. It is a very powerful country militarily. It's a country with a very powerful intellectual president. But look at the economy of Rwanda. It's the economy of a division within the city of New York. Yes. The economy of Rwanda is the economy of a ward or a division, like we have Nakawa division. The economy of a division in New York. So let us first concentrate on federation. Let Museveni, Kagame, the Burundian president, the South Sudanese president. Let's start with DRC. The DRC now, because of the war, they may not be ready. But these four countries can become one country in one day.
This man wants to bring another problem in a problem.
You see?
That you tell Museveni to sit down with the Kagame.
Yes.
Sit down with the Kenya. William Ruto was just started feeling sweet about power. Only 4 years in the power. William Ruto.
I take him back.
Let me finish. Then you bring Burundi. Then you bring South Sudan. This, then all of us, let us elect one president.
Yes.
Hey,
now let me tell you. Let me tell you, right, honorable Speaker.
Who is going to sit in that meeting?
Right, honorable Speaker.
Let us discuss the possibility.
Not
the impossibilities.
Let me tell you.
Who will chair that meeting?
But what does the East African community treat the purpose to achieve?
What is
its purpose is to achieve finally the economic, the political integration.
Yes. You are saying the word, even the way you said, finally.
Yes. Things move in stages.
I think we can begin to quote Ruto when President Museveni went to his inauguration. What did he say? Let's take people by their words.
You are taking the Ruto by his words. Ruto, I'm just swearing it.
Let us.
He said Museveni President Museveni is the father
of the
East African
community.
Yes.
Now you see.
But did you trust William Ruto, Professor?
My job is to trust. Let them betray the trust of the African people. Not so? We cannot start from a problem of not trust.
Kenyans are going to stone you. Then you go back.
So I want to tell you this. If our leaders, if Museveni cannot even sit with his brother leader Kagame and make one country, then they should stop writing such letters about Libya. African minor problems, African solutions. You yourself, you're a leader, 40 years. You cannot unite 1 or 2 countries to make one. Look at me already. He united 2 African countries, Zanzibar and Tanganyika, to make Tanzania. Tanzania today is a very strong nation, supplying all the food, steadily growing. And I wish he lived to unite just another country as one country. Look at South Sudan. Why are we thinking that South Sudan is an independent country? It's not. South Sudan, they depend on Ugandan food. Have you been to Juba? If the potatoes and tomatoes don't arrive from Uganda at the border, there can even be no lunch in Juba.
And yet they harass the Ugandan traders.
Have you ever been there? If there is no, if the trucks carrying tomatoes and onions don't cross the bridge in Juba, there is no lunch. There is no lunch.
And
because even the people in the hotels are Ugandans.
And it has flat land.
And then
green flat land.
I think that's the best agriculture, yes.
Yes.
Now, the economy of Sudan, all the cabinet ministers of Sudan, South Sudan, their children are studying in Uganda.
They have no education.
About 2/3. Yes. About 2/3 of the citizens of Sudan have got South Sudan. They have got refugee cards here. They are living here. So why is South Sudan still a nation?
That's true.
Why don't we join this nation?
That's true.
And when the next generation need a general,
before you run away from that point, also remind yourself, in the first place, looking back at the vision of the late Dr. John Garang, for him, he believed in one Sudan.
Yes.
And he was going to achieve it had he not died.
Yes.
Well, the question is, why did he die?
Yes.
One of the reasons is that he believed strongly in one Sudan, and he was ready and he would have achieved it. Probably we suspect, as political philosophers and historians, that was one of the reasons why he died. But most importantly, was the division of Sudan into 2. The liking of the people, except for this thing they put up, it's called the referendum. Is it that they really wanted to get out of the entire Khartoum?
Now, I was not going to run. The word running is different. Yes, but you have said that before I leave that point. Our main point is the next one.
I will go the step.
No, I didn't say it in a bad way.
I didn't say it in a bad faith.
Yeah, because he knew we were running, we were moving fast. That's what I was saying. He didn't say it in a bad way. I want to let us address this as Pan-Africanists. And it's good you have reminded me about the intentions of John Mabio. John Mabio did not want a country called South Sudan. He didn't. He wanted a country called Sudan. And that's why he was killed. Yes, and he was a member of Sudan. And he said one day this country will become one. And I think we have a very great opportunity to make South Sudan and Sudan one. To go back again? Yes. Yes. Because, look, go to Biala. Have you gone to Biala? Recently? Yeah.
United States.
Now, we have about 1 million Sudanese Arabs in Kirianum. They've even changed the appearance.
Yes.
Go there. 1 million Sudanese, not the South Sudanese, Sudanese themselves are living in Uganda.
Hey,
yes.
From Khartoum?
Yes.
From Khartoum?
Yes. They're living in Uganda.
You call it Khartoum, Sudan?
Yes. Now, you see, sometimes when you reject a visionary leader's view, what he wanted plays by itself. So they rejected John Garang's view of a one Sudan. That is coming automatically. Because I tell you one country that will never come together is a country called Sudan. Why? 70% of people in Sudan, Khartoum, they are from Darfur. And they are black, like me and you. They are black.
Even Luba Mountains.
We have people from South Kordofan. They are black. The leadership, which is just about 10%, they are the Arabs. And starting with Omar Bashir, they were not born in Sudan. Omar Bashir was not born in Sudan.
Where was he born?
He was born in Egypt.
So they came
and even he was
yes,
and he was even a member of the Egyptian army which fought against Israel in 1973 Yom Kippur War.
Omar al-Bashir.
Yes, was not born in
the former president of
Sudan.
He's still there, living.
He's alive.
Very.
So now, what is happening?
And not in jail.
Yes.
If you must know.
Yes.
No, he's not. Hey, they released him wrong time.
Now, what is happening? The Rapid Defense Forces, which is fighting with the government of Sudan, the issue is about Darfur, the black. We even have some in Pan-African Pyramid. They used to come, you know them, those of Jacob.
Edison and Jacob.
Yes. So now, that crisis, let me go back now to our topic in Libya. That is the crisis in Libya. Only 10% of Sudan are Arabs. And they are the ones monopolizing leadership when they are not natives. The same to Libya, 10% Arabs. Like,
Libya.
yes, they are the ones monopolizing power
In Libya.
in Libya. We have so many black people in South Libya, and they are not part of the ruling class
Of Libya.
of Libya. Even Muammar Gaddafi was not a black African. Check his roots. His father was not a black African, native to Libya.
He was what?
He was a French pilot. Check.
Muammar Gaddafi's father was a French.
Yes. Check.
Hey.
Yes.
So he was even supporting the Sarkozy's campaign.
That is why.
Fully funded.
That's why. It is.
Which books did you read? That
No, you go to your Google. Just these days, it is even Google. But in my book, the Tony Blood, I put it very clear. Yes, it is very clear. Muammar Gaddafi, the father
of the nation of Libya.
of the nation of Libya, his father's plane was shot over Libya during a war. He survived, then propagated Gaddafi. Now, the 10% Arab in Libyan control are not able to connect with the native black people in Libya. There are very many black people in Libya. You see, that's why in the first years of Libyan president, he was even changing names of mountains from African names to Arabic names. So, who is President Museveni calling the imperialists? Now, these are the French. As Comrade Rugarama has rightly pointed out, Muammar Gaddafi had a conflicted agenda. I wrote about it in my book, Tony Blair, Deal in the Desert. He had deals with these European countries. Muammar Gaddafi. For example, Sarkozy.
Yet he was fighting them.
Yeah, that's what I'm telling you, that fighting someone by day and then by night you have what? Dealings with him. He's the one who funded Sarkozy's presidential campaign. 90%, all the money. When it was collapsing, Sarkozy feared that this secret would come out. Actually, Gaddafi was bombed by an F-16 of the French Air Force.
Tracing the phone that was provided by the French government, the phone he was holding.
Yes.
Including the golden pistol, also manufactured there.
Yes.
That's how they traced him.
Yes. He was hit by an F-16. You know how F-16 is a very complicated plane, but it came down to the extent of bombing president from inside
The bunker.
Calvert. He was not outside when his convoy. Being a soldier, military soldier, that after, the plane is coming too close in the trenches. So, assassination. And even President Museveni is not being direct. He should say assassination by French forces on the command of Sarkozy. Let's zero some of these crimes to individuals.
Was Gaddafi killed by France, Sarkozy, or America?
Sarkozy. I've told you that the plane which bombed is a French.
The whole thing we are having a conspiracy because that was a NATO.
It's a NATO, the pact. But I'm telling you that we can even break the pact and get to the real country,
So
the
you
real
want to
president.
the blame.
Yes.
France is blamed because the machine that was used, an F-16 made from US, but under
French.
The French control.
French
So
Air Force.
All the meetings, all the conspiracy meetings were taking place in Paris.
And the French Air Force, these machines, they don't move without human command. The command came from the president.
So they were even tracing him from a phone that was made in France.
Yes. Well, so why that letter should be improved to point to point clearly at the criminal.
You want to amend, or you want to put an addendum? You're a lawyer. You think you want to put an addendum?
Amendment.
You want to make an amendment?
Yes. So that we begin to apportion this criminality in the world, which Comrade Rugarama has been saying. You see, if you don't do that, if you don't apportion criminality, we are going to blame France when the next government says, but this man acted without our knowledge. And indeed, Sarkozy's command that killed Gaddafi was personal, to hide the personal money. And you know, yes, he gave the money personally, and under French law, it is illegal to get money from another country. Yes, yes. And I want to kill Gaddafi to kill the evidence. Yes. And also I want to tell you, Gaddafi would say, please pay my money. Exactly. And now I want to tell you this. You see, Gaddafi had 7 sons in the army. And yes, he had 7 sons in the army, commanding the 7 battalions, controlling his power. And you must now see something very, very sinister. Let's look at it. As the revolution was advancing to take Tripoli, there was a deliberate move to eliminate the sons of Gaddafi.
Yeah,
yes, and all of those sons were eliminated. Only one survived.
He was rotating there.
Yes.
Gaddafi was 6 children.
Yes, in one day. Yes, and in that one day, the wife of Gaddafi told the husband that, now, why are you fighting? As for me, this world now means nothing.
Without
my children are finished. But Gaddafi, being a man, but the wife said, now what are we fighting for? Now, who made sure that the Gaddafi's children were eliminated? The one attack. I didn't know it. And why were they? It is so. Gaddafi was 6 children. One day. In one day. Yes.
The only one who survived, and he now has less fingers.
Now, what happened was that they were trying to eliminate evidence, Right Honorable Speaker. Because they knew that the children of Gaddafi, the family, were privy
to that information.
So, by God's grace, only one son survived. And it is that son who made Sarkozy lose the next election. Yes, because he made a comment and said, but surely, how can my father be killed by an F-16 of French army when my father gave a lot of money? And the French picked it. And then in the next elections,
you lost.
Sarkozy lost.
Professor, thank you so much. Comrade philosopher, Samuel, tell us. This one, his main argument was that Museveni must go back and amend his statement. There's something more that he left behind. He has actually made an addendum. What is your comment on the entire
take a different direction? My friends have talked about almost, and they have exhausted almost everything about this topic. He has talked of the disadvantages we are facing by being in a relationship with this neo-colonialism. He has talked of how they influenced the overthrow of Gaddafi and the others. But now we'll just talk about something a bit simple. First of all, they tell us that when you see a rat playing around the cat, you know that there is a hole nearby. So when you see these leaders that we are in a meeting, we are talking about Africanization of our African solution and the others, just know there is influence of foreign powers. Again, there is influence of foreign powers. They are not doing it in the...
When you see a rat playing with a cat,
yes, you know that
that's not the nearby hole.
Yes.
And the rat is not very far from that hole.
And the moment the cat move out to approach the right, we just enter. So these people are just playing us that game. Because how can Dennis Sassou Nguesso, who overthrew Pascal Lissouba, and then become a dictator, and he has ruled Congo Brazzaville for almost 20 years. There is no any country that can blame him for all that kind of leadership he has exhibited in the Congo. They are not talking about him. talk about President Museveni, is the one who is implementing the will of the superpowers all over the sub-Saharan
Africa.
Almost. President Museveni has been involved in very many wars in the interests of the whites.
Hey.
In Somalia is the one. Fighting in the Central African Republic is the one. Everywhere they are the one benefiting from the minerals after President Museveni stabilizing the situation.
Even here in South Sudan.
South Sudan, everywhere, Congo, and so many others. So President Museveni is a good orator, but not someone who is trusted. For example, he said that during the overthrow of Gaddafi, he tried to convince fellow African leaders that we should stage the battle of Stalingrad so that we defeat the West, not to overthrow Gaddafi. He only ended there. Did he put in place any action to do that? If at all, he is a charismatic leader who wants African solution. Why didn't he attempt at least to deploy maybe a battalion to go and defend against Gaddafi? But he only kept quiet. That's why the Chinese tell us that it is easier to know what to do than doing it. They all know what could be the solution, but doing it they cannot. He talked about organizing election. Look at the elections in Uganda. So, which people are you going to deploy there to organize the election in Libya? Yet these are the perpetual thieves, the perpetual criminals in electoral malpractices. So they cannot do that. They know that it's the right thing, but they cannot do that. President Museveni. So one of the problems why we are having all this problem is the nature of the post-colonial leaders we got in Africa. We would have solved some of these problems because he has talked about the federation. They talked about the East African community and everything. It collapsed. Why? Because of the interest of African leaders.
Yes.
He was talking about the federation. You challenged him so much that we cannot achieve that of the African country. But that there is what we call the supranational federation. National federation.
Supranational.
A supranational federation, it's a federation of independent and sovereign countries. We can have that kind of federation.
Yes.
Uganda, Rwanda, Congo, you have a federation of independent states.
Yes.
That one can be something similar to the USA, United States. Yes. This one is made because all the states in the USA are independent almost. So you can have a framework similar to that. But our leaders cannot because of the selfish interests.
Supranational federation, a political entity formed by multiple countries that cede some level of sovereignty to a central authority, e.g. the European Union.
Yes. We can serve.
We can.
So we can formulate something similar to the United States, but of independent and sovereign country, giving out some of their right to a central also. But we cannot achieve. Why?
Uruma warned them. He said, let's live here with single currency, single government, single army. For us, we can be governors somewhere, whatever name you want to give yourselves. But this business of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, being opened doors for saluted, you will get very comfortable and you will not want anything to be seated away. He warned them.
And he was right.
Yes.
So that's what is going on. We could have achieved the more if at all we had leaders who are not so optimistic, leaders who are not greedy, and who are not obsessed with power. But our leaders are so obsessed with power. That's why the East African Federation failed, the ECOWAS failed, the SADC is failing, and the others. Yet we would have been integrating all this regional integration into an African federation.
Yes.
But now we cannot because of selfishness. That's why I'm blaming post-colonial leaders and the leaders we are having right now. When we go back to the Libyan question, one problem is that still I will blame African leaders. Leaders like, I will give you an example. In China, they had what they called the Boxer Rebellion.
Boxer Rebellion.
Boxer
Libya?
In China. It was in 1860. 1898 around.
Boxer Rebellion.
Boxer Rebellion. The Boxer Rebellion was a rebellion against...
Let me tell you, the Boxer Rebellion was an anti-foreign, anti-colonial, and anti-Christian uprising that took place in China between 1899 and 1901, near the end of the Qing dynasty.
So, Boxer Rebellion, they were also once under colonial masters, the Chinese. But they revolted against the colonial masters, the British, after realizing how those people had corrupted their minds through the use of cocaine.
Hey, they used cocaine.
They failed to convince the Chinese to buy their products because it was around the 12,000, maybe 60, around. One sailor from Europe took his commodities to China. By then it was ruled under Emperor Genghis of the Mongol Empire. Then Genghis chased away that your products are substandard to the Chinese products. So they failed to convince them to trade with the British and the other European countries. So what they did, they took cocaine to the Chinese. They told them how to use cocaine. They were addicted, so they forced them to trade with the British through cocaine.
Under the influence of cocaine.
After addiction. So they realized that these people are spoiling us. That's why they staged the Boxer Rebellion to chase out the foreigners. After chasing China, they decided, let us take our own path, not the European path. Let us have a leadership which can give us some rights and take away some rights and promote our being and existence. That's why they don't have this stupid democracy of the Western country that Ndugu was talking about. Those people, they think that every democracy should be modeled around their kind of democracy. Chinese refused that. They took their own path until when they developed up to now. After refusing, taking the Western path of democracy and leadership, China developed. When we go to Japan, Japan was backward. When it came to 1868, that's when the Meiji era started. Was called the Emperor Mutsushito, established what he called the Meiji Restoration.
Emperor Mutsushito.
Yes. So he realized that we cannot compete with Western countries. Let us shape our kind of leadership that will bring modernity to Japan. So they developed Japan up to Second World War, when Japan was one of the superpowers. So those countries took their own path, not following the Western countries. But when it came to African countries, we were so obsessed, we were so in love with Western leaders and their kind of governance. Every country that could get independence, they could adapt to leadership similar to Britain, to France, not knowing that those people cultivated that kind of leadership after so long. After a long time. So we found that. That's why we could not resist foreigners, we could not resist neo-colonials and everything, because we modeled our leadership in the line of the Western countries.
That's the point.
Yes. When you look at countries now like Mali, Burkina Faso and the others, those countries can resist foreign influence and they can develop their countries. Why? They are doing it. They are doing it. So why do we blame the French and what for killing Gaddafi, destabilizing Libya, when we know that we can have a leadership that can ensure that? So just a matter of having leaders who can foresee, who can find out what is best for their people. It's enough. Libya is now fighting a war, the civil war, because of influence from foreign countries. That's what President Museveni talked about. Turkey is using Africa as a demonstration for its superiority of its drones, the Bariakita. So they are promoting their drones so that they can get market for weapons. UAE doing the same, and Qatar. Russia is using Libya as a base so that it can advance its interests in the Africa and the Sahel region and the other countries. But that one can be reversed if at all you have a leadership that is similar to the leadership that China had, the leadership that Japan had, and the others. But the problem, we have leaders who are so passionate about Western leaders. Talk of the Ruto. Every time is in the White House. Every time is just a leader who is always on the plane going to those countries.
The other time he was trying himself in the White House presidential chair. And that is the hate. That is the hate of mockery. When a white man wants, and they used to do this during colonialism. Now, when you see them repeat the same in modern times, you know what they think of you. They bring you, they even make you fit the whole president of the largest economy in East Africa. You are being fitted onto the chair in the White House of the President of the United States of America. What a mockery. It is not that you should actually fit there, but it is designed that after that, you feel so good about, you see, this is what we call tokenism in politics, tokenism. They give you that kind of feel. And you think,
so good.
Yes, you think you are so important. From there, they are going to increase the military bases in Kenya. So that they counter the influence of Russia and China. That's what they do. I wanted to add, Mr. Speaker, sir, in respect to what my colleagues have already submitted, that Africa, speaking of Africa, because I know this spreads elsewhere, what is happening in Libya is not something that should have been told to us by any great philosopher. No, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen if we did not guard against it. And I think Africa, we didn't guard against it. We didn't see that we had a blue-eyed boy, especially, and a great young man in Comrade Muammar Gaddafi, who had great interest in liberating Africa, putting it to another level, and we didn't protect him. We left him open to the political and military vagaries of this world. Because you cannot start proposing, as Gaddafi was doing, that you want to reenact. Look, when Kwame Nkrumah, with all those that believed in him, during the Casablanca and the Monrovia group, that we should establish one army, one currency, one government, one passport, one everything, borderless Africa. What happened to that group of leaders? What happened to them? Immediately in their first, second, fifth year around there, either their governments failed or they themselves were assassinated. All of them that subscribed to the Casablanca group. You see, the service is talking about the Meddlers, the Kwame Nkrumah, the Olympiacos, the Abdel Gamar, the Patrice Lumumba was not even allowed to attend the Organization of African Union Conference. He was assassinated before he could attend, but he had been invited. But you can imagine what we are saying, therefore, is that if we didn't see that what happened to that crop of leaders that had such a vision by the time they created the Organization of African Unity, that we had the reincarnation of them in Muammar Gaddafi. They can put up with Comrade His Excellency Yoweri Museveni. He's proposing, and I think this goes in line with what Prof.Alenyo was talking about. His proposal is not radical. They can put up with him. Why? Because he's saying, yes, Africa is going to unite. Africa is going to have to be called one country, one political central leadership. But it will come through economic integration. That is okay. Why? Because they know that through the IMF and World Bank, they will frustrate you and will not have that. They can only allow you to achieve that much as long as they can accommodate it and control it. When you come in the manner and version of Muammar Gaddafi, whereby you are saying no, from here, don't worry. What is the problem? African Development Bank, we are funded 70% by Japan, by Western Europe and America. He says, I'm going to fund African Development Bank. All of us shall be getting money from there. There is no problem. That is Gaddafi. There is going to be a problem. You are not a good man now. From there, what is the other problem? You see, how are we going to back up that money? He says, I have enough gold reserves. we shall back it against good reserves. The American dollar is not backed up by anything apart from MiGs and air defense and other sorts of military power. That is all. As long as China, Russia, and other countries counter that military power, the dollar is going to be useless. Wait for when the BRICS are going to crystallize and form a currency. What I wanted to end with, Gaddafi had to be protected. If we never protected him then, when we knew his agenda, he was not an angel. He had force as a human being. But his greater grand plan was such a huge, wonderful thing that it was not only his, we should have protected him. We never protected him when he talked about funding the African Development Bank. We didn't even, by the way, remember, we have, as Africa, we also sent, we subscribed and sent, and we can now have our own satellite images. We don't have to rely on America, we don't have to rely on anything. And he was also proposing air connectivity. Do you know that it is shorter for Africa to connect from Africa and go to South America than when we have got to Europe? Do you know that we cross? I dread those journeys, but I have got to make them. You are from Uganda here. You are into Istanbul. Those are almost 9 hours. From Istanbul, you are connecting, that is now Turkish Airlines. You are connecting above the Atlantic Ocean up to South America. You are in Venezuela. That is about 20 or so hours. In other words, we are talking about close to 30 minutes beyond in space, flying over 30,770 something meters above sea level. That's not good life. And yet we can have a shorter distance here, but do you have connectivity? Those are the things which Colonel Muammar Gaddafi was talking about. He was saying, look, we can have a standing army. We could, and that is our problem. We cannot enforce Africa, Organization of African Unity decisions simply because we don't have a standing army. How will you enforce them? That is why we start enforcing certain things under the dictates of the imperialists. And that is what Ibrahim Traore and his colleagues refused, said, but you look, ECOWAS. You are talking about the collapse of ECOWAS. ECOWAS, what are you emphasizing? Do you know what we did? What we did was not because we were against the interests of ECOWAS, but ECOWAS is no longer ours. We must set up something which is ours. Therefore, at the end of the day, the recreation of the independence of the countries of Africa will not be a walk in the park. The forces against us are increasing by day. The available literature point to the fact that there has been a great design, a blueprint by those who are against us, who have been against us from time immemorial. They are not kind. They are ruthless. They don't wish us well. And their intention is to perpetually keep us under their wings. They did that during the slave trade. They repeated it during the colonialism. They continued with us with it by introduction of all sorts and manner of things like religion and what have you, well knowing that they never believed in it themselves. They have continued in it by emphasizing of capitalism, and which is the highest form of imperialism. These people are written about, and they have formed global things like International Monetary Fund and World Bank, all not geared to taking care of our interests, but to make sure that they muzzle us into a cocoon of people that are helpless, and they project themselves as the best helpers that the world can ever think. They are, in other words, considering themselves to be God-sent. That everything they say is almost like the message delivered on behalf of the Almighty God. What an embarrassment.
Comrade, if you could wind up in 1 minute.
Okay, so as I only urge African leaders to remember how some African countries were and the glorious days of those African countries. Because we have had several African countries that defeated Western countries. Ethiopia during the Battle of Adowa, Menelik defeated the Italians.
That's true.
Then when you go to Mukta in Libya, who was called the Lion of the Desert,
yes,
he defeated defeated the Italians. Not until when he was killed, when he was called that you come so that we negotiate about ending the way they killed you, like the way they did to Gaddafi. But he defeated them. Hannibal, Emperor Hannibal, defeated the Roman. He defeated the Roman Empire. So if at all you can remember that even African can defeat those countries, we can fight for our freedom. You know, they say that the sword is the best negotiator. The sword is the best negotiator. The moment we say that we shall get ourselves free from those people peacefully through talks and work, that will be hard. Those countries managed to rise against the British, the Chinese, and the others. See the sword. So now the Traore, the Simegoyita, and the others, they have managed to defeat those countries through force. So they can now form their federation. If at all other countries can go on joining, we can have a breed of leaders who can set ourselves free from those people.
Thank you so much, Comrade Philosopher Samuel. Comrade Professor Alenyo, you are closing remarks.
I think my closing remarks, to make sure that I fit within the 1 minute, I could say this. If I had the powers, I would combine Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, Sudan, South Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, and Burundi into one country.
What about Kenya? You forgotten?
No, even the other time I never mentioned Kenya. If you still mentioned Kenya.
5 countries?
Yes, because these countries are already one. I have done my research. I know that the backbone of Sudan, main, is now here. Even militarily, UPDF can overrun Juba and overrun.
Why are you leaving out Kenya? What is the trick? Why?
I'm just leaving it out because
why?
You see, we should have a coalition of those who are ready by circumstances.
Coalition of the willing.
Yes.
Coalition of the willing.
Yes. Like I have never seen Uganda and Rwanda and Burundi as different countries. Do you know that Rwanda and Burundi were one country? Rwanda-Burundi.
Rwanda-Burundi.
Yes, they were one country. They only separated on the day of the Hutu Revolution, 1961.
Just recently?
Yes. They were one country. Yes.
1961?
Yes. That's when Rwanda became independent and Burundi independent. They were one Belgian colony called Rwanda-Burundi. Please, Kagame and Museveni and the Rwanda. Why can't these two countries become one with Uganda? Let's first have territorial superiority. Then South Sudan, is this a country even? They failed their country. Let's just annex that country. If Museveni cannot do it diplomatically, let the first son, General Muhoozi, annex this country.
You heard that?
Yes.
Which one?
South Sudan. He's talking about annexing.
Annexing South Sudan.
To where?
It's not annexed, by the way. And when I talk of annexing, let me tell you, like Burundi. Do you know that Burundi was already annexed? You remember there was a coup? I remember that. I remember who went and not Museveni, General Muhoozi, I remember, took the command. I was at Clock Tower when the forces went to bring order to Burundi. And Burundi is depending on our army.
Burundi?
Yes. So it is very easy to make Rwanda, Burundi, Uganda one nation.
To be joined here?
Why not? That is where I question their Pan-Africanism. That's why I questioned it.
Okay.
See, what is the importance of being president? What is the importance of being a president of a small country like Rwanda? When Kagame has the brain to rule these 5 nations.
Kagame grew up from here. He started from Fort Portal.
Yes.
He started from Colorado here.
Yes.
He worked here in CMI.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Then he left. He went and stabilized the country for his people. Telling you Kagame that to bring back those people here.
Kagame.
And then, this is the end of the Please let us on the ICE Pan-African Pyramid Global Awards 2025 and 11th anniversary bonfire dinner. recognizing and awarding Pan-Africans who selflessly fought and defended the rights and freedoms of the black race globally. On 30th August 2025 at Fair Hotel from 2 p.m. Dress code, strictly pub t-shirts or traditional stroke African wear. Theme, One Africa, One Passport. United States of Africa, USA. Book your dinner card now. Table for 8, 3 million. Platinum, 1 million. Gold, 500K. Silver, 400K. Bronze, 150K. Call 0757 342317 or 0782 342317 to book your dinner card online now. Umuntu ngumuntu ngabantu. I am because we are. Come, let's rekindle our roots. Africa, don't agonize, organize. Powered by Fairway Hotel, NBS TV, Afro Mobile, the Paredio Foundation, JJK, the Spy Uganda, Detective UG.